Good people, what's going on? Welcome to episode 39 of the Dome Podcast. This will be a short episode, but I had some thoughts in regard to hip hop and the whole narrative behind an album didn't age well. So I'll tell you what made me think of this because I was tagged in a tweet today in regard to Ready to Die versus It Was Written. And I think some guys went track for track to compare the two albums and then said, hey, it was written warm because it aged better, it sounds better now, et cetera, et cetera. There was a lot of different comments from a lot of guys who was a part of that, I guess, that competition between the two albums. And, I said, well, you know what? Ready to Die to me is better than It Was Written. Obviously, both of them are classics. I love It Was Written. That's pretty obvious. Nas my favorite MC. Biggie, one of my favorite MCs. Listen, I'm one of the guys from 1996 that defended It Was Written when it came out. I have people mad at me because I say the boom bap Timbaland kids couldn't get past Illmatic, so they didn't receive It Was Written the way it should have been received initially, even though it did sell almost 3 million uh, album copies, and If I Rule the World was huge, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, over the years, people have given It Was Written as credit. Nas even said one of the most creative LPs ever hit stores. You know what I'm saying? And I've written articles about It Was Written. I've talked about the production, how if people took the track masters off a few songs and put some of the Illmatic producers on there, people wouldn't be whining about it. All of these things I've defended. It was written for years. It's five mics to me, but I felt like uh, Ready to Die was an overall better album. They said it didn't age as well. So it made me think about, well, also I did a poll, and right now, Ready to Die is beating It Was Written, but nevertheless, both of them are 5 out of 5 albums to me. The reason why I want to dig a little deeper is because in hip hop, we talk about this thing of album didn't age well. Okay. What about other genres of music? Classics are period pieces in a lot of cases. So if an album came out in 1972, let's say Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, people know that that's my favorite artist, my favorite album. I think it's the greatest album of all time. But it does not sound like it was an album that dropped in 2023 or 1993 or 2003. It's from 1972. It's a piece. Purple Rain does not sound like it was dropped today with any of the albums that came out now. Thriller sounds like it came out in 84, 85. You know what I'm saying? Songs in the Key of Life, Inner Visions, you know, different great albums that came out in our culture of American music, Black American music. It sounded like when it came out. It might sound amazing, but it sounded like when it came out. Yes, in hip hop, you might have an album like Only Built for Cuban Links. That what RZA did on that album, absolutely stellar. So to me, it sounded futuristic back then, and it holds up right now in terms of the sound. It sounds better than almost every album I've heard now. The Chronic, the Chronic came out in 1992. I feel like it sounds like 1992. It was the soundtrack to the LA Rise. But the engineering on it, what Dre and his team did, it sounds cleaner than albums that's out right now. You know what I mean? So, but it sounded like it was nothing but a G thing. Sound like 1992. You know what I'm saying? Deep Cover sound like 1991. You know what I'm saying? Ready to Die, for example, since the reason I'm doing this episode kind of sparked from the poll I did based off the tweet I was in when they said Ready to Die didn't age good. It aged perfectly because it sounds like a timepiece from 1994, as it should. I was at UNCG in college, and when you think about warning, you think about things that change. When you think about the what, when you think about suicide thoughts, when you think about Everyday Struggle, which is my favorite Biggie song, Everyday Struggle is amazing. It sounds like it's supposed to sound. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to compare that with It Was Written, it's funny now. Now everyone loved the beats when it was written, but everybody was whining about the Trap Mouse, even though it wasn't just Trap Mouse that did. It was written. You had the Live Squad. You know what I'm saying? With Stretch, Havoc was on there. Primo was on there. I believe LES is on there. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, but nevertheless, does it sound a little more modernized? I mean, does the message? I get your power sound like a '90s song to me. It's not like it sound like something from right now. You know what I'm saying? the suspect, the setup. It sounds like 90s boom bap hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It sounds maybe a slight bit more modern than some of Easy Mo B beats on Ready to Die, because Ready to Die is probably 2 or 3 years older, you know what I'm saying, as far as recording, you know what I'm saying? But it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. You know what I'm saying? I think in hip hop, we always look at things like, okay, man, it didn't age well, it sound old. It's supposed to sound old. You know what I'm saying? You know, Timberland, for example, the way he made beats for Missy Elliott and a few other people, you know, in the mid to late 90s. Now his sound was futuristic. You know what I'm saying? You think about some of the joints he even did, what, Dirt Off Your Shoulder with Jay-Z, and just some of Timberland joints he did for Justin and for Nelly Furtado and all. It sounded futuristic. Even joints he did early on with Magoo, rest in peace Magoo. You know, he was a futuristic sounding guy. Whether you like the sound or not is another thing, but it did sound like it was from the future. You know what I'm saying? But that's few far in between. Most albums sound like the time period they came in. Mobb Deep Infamous sound like 1995. You know what I'm saying? So I never get this something didn't age well. You know what I'm saying? I heard people say 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying didn't age well. Well, it sounds like 2003. It still bangs in the club, still bangs in the street. I mean, I'm not sure what that exactly that means. Uh I did a poll. I did several polls recently. People was enjoying them. I did a poll about like the golden era albums, right? So I did Paid in Full, Great Adventures of Slick Rick, Criminal Minded, and Long Live the King. All of those albums sound like the golden era. You know what I'm saying? But I can still say if I heard an album right now that came out recently and put it against Paid in Full, I'll say 9 times out of 10, yeah, man, I like Paid in Full sound better. No, it's not gonna sound more futuristic. Yes, the engineering and the sound is not gonna be the same quality as something brand new right now because technology is better now. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's amazing what RZA did on Cuban Links and what Dre did with the Chronic, but never and Dog Style. But nevertheless, Paid in Full sounds like 87, 88. You don't lose anything with the sound. I just think people need to start looking at hip hop the way we look at other genres of music. When I hear jazz, I love jazz. When I hear Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane, Duke Ellington stuff, yeah, Miles Davis stuff, it sounds like it's supposed to sound. When I listen to even Duran Duran, Tears for Fears, in the 80s, Love is a Battlefield, it sounds like the 80s. I love it. And I still love it more than some of the more recent soft rock that will be out right now. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think we do that in hip hop enough. It's like me saying, "Oh, Run DMC self-titled album sounds dated." No, it sounds like the time period it was in. It sounds like 1985, but it sounds amazing. You know, I think we're shortening hip hop. And I've always said this. For some reason in hip hop, we put a lot of limits on hip hop. Oh, that MC is too old. You should start rapping. That's why I got a lot of flack when I was talking about Melle Mel. I was really just joking when I said Melle Mel was 60 plus and he still sound like he's stuck in 82. I was really joking, but some people took it to heart. But I really wasn't serious. I respect Melle Mel. And even just a couple of years ago when I heard him rhyming, he sounded good. He just didn't sound so great on the Eminem song, but I was really just joking. You know what I'm saying? The message, I mean, he is who he is. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, we tell people to stop recording. I've heard people say, man, Jay-Z shouldn't rap no more. Or, you know, this person shouldn't rap anymore. Why should they stop rapping? Will we ask Stevie Wonder not to record anymore? If Stevie Wonder came out right now and he working on a new album for fans, that's a treat. I just talked about Sade doing a new album. Her album is not gonna sound modern 9 times out of 10. She has a sound. You know what I'm saying? It'll probably sound like some 80s Sade, and that's what we hope. You know what I'm saying? We want it to sound old. The funny thing is, when people say about this whole dated thing with hip hop, it's hilarious because you keep hearing about people saying they want Nas to work with DJ Premier, Pete Rock, Large Professor, LES, Q-Tip and them again. But if they want an Illmatic sound, for example, after this whole Magic and King's Disease run, that means you're saying you want it to sound like the 90s, right? The 90s is going to be dated. That means it's going to sound old. So if you compare back to our original comments about Ready to Die, it was written. What's old about Ready to Die? It sounds like it's supposed to sound. You know what I'm saying? And again, when I get in my car right now, put things done changed and unbelievable on, I'm rocking. You know what I'm saying? I'm rocking the same way when I put on I Gave You Power. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Suspect, like I said earlier. So I don't look at hip hop and time the same way a lot of other people do. You know what I'm saying? When I think about the first era of hip hop, I respect it for when it came out. I respect the Treacherous 3 sound. When the Treacherous 3 was rhyming, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of advanced for their time, but it still sound old when you hear it. You know what I'm saying? When I hear Curtis Blow, you know what I'm saying? When I hear Run DMC, listen, look at LL Cool J from Radio to Mr. Smith. I still can compare Radio to Mr. Smith, but Mr. Smith is obviously 1995 more modern. You know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. But I still might feel like Radio is better, for example, and obviously it's gonna sound older, but I'm just talking about the way the album feel. You know what I'm saying? The the sequence of songs, the production. I'm just saying, for example, I'm not saying Radio is better than Mr. Smith, but I'm saying it could be. Now, some might say Mama Said Knock You Out is better than Mr. Smith. Mama Said Knock You Out was done by Marlon Marl in like 1990, 5 years before Mr. Smith. It sounds like a 1990 album. So that means it would sound dated compared to Mr. Smith. But a lot of people think uh, Mama Said Knock You Out is better than Mr. Smith. You know what I'm saying? All right now, I'm on the porch, good people chilling. Um, but I like Mr. Smith probably a little better because I like the way it blended when you think about doing it. Hey Lover, then they had a song Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? And so I like Mr. Smith a little better. But when I was riding to both of them not too long ago, Mama Said Knock You Out might bang harder. You know what I'm saying? So I can't understand why people think that, but it sounds older. It sounds more dated. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you compare the Chronic, for example, again to the Chronic 2001, some say, well, Chronic 2001 sounds way more modernized than the original Chronic. If I did a poll right now, the Chronic versus 2001, I honestly believe that the Chronic would be looked at as a superior album. Some people might say, hey, the engineering is great on both. I, I like the production or the sound is cleaner maybe on 2001, but the songs are better on the Chronic. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think when I'm comparing albums, I can compare albums from different eras. I might say it sounded better in terms of the way the songs were constructed. You know what I'm saying? Like as much as I like Maxwell Urban Hang Suite, for example, that came out in the '90s, I don't think it's better than Marvin Gaye I Want You album. You know what I'm saying? Now I Want You came out in the '70s. It sounded like it came out in the '70s, and even though Maxwell is obviously influenced by Marvin Gaye, I would say Marvin's I Want You is better than Urban Hang Suite and Embryo. But they're all amazing albums. You can put classics against each other, and one classic still could be a little more superior, but it doesn't take anything away from them both being amazing. Just like going back again to the Ready to Die versus It Was Written. I think both of them are 5 out of 5, like I said. But I think that Ready to Die is superior because the highs to me are higher. Don't get me wrong, Nas probably is rapping better than Biggie in terms of spitting fire, wordplay, and complexity in the rhyme patterns. I think Nas is rapping better than Biggie. But I think Biggie, the way he floated over the songs, probably sounds more appealing and sounds better as a constructor of a song. You know what I'm saying? And that can be debated. I think that Ready to Die holds up the way it's supposed to hold up, and I would give it a slight edge over it was written. But at the same time, they both are classics, and it's your own preference. And that's a good thing about music. It's a preference thing when it comes to like especially albums at the top or the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? Picking Criminal Minded over Long Live the Cane is not a diss to Long Live the Cane if that's what I was doing. Picking Paid in Full over It Takes a Nation a Million, which a lot of people might not do that, and that might be a good poll, Paid in Full versus It Takes a Nation a Million, the supremacy of the golden era, there is no wrong answer. You know what I'm saying? Now, Public Enemy, speaking of It Takes a Nation a Million, it sounded, was it 1988? It sounds 88, but it was big for its time, just like Ultramagnetic MC's Critical Beatdown or whatever. Um, Critical Beatdown, Critical Breakdown. Excuse me, I'm off right now. Um, nevertheless, what they did production wise for the time period that came out, it sounds very, very modern for that time period. You know what I'm saying? But if you listen to it now, you might think it sounds dated. You know what I'm saying? And once again, this is what we do with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole argument is how does it sound, or does the lyrics sound dated? Well, the lyrics are supposed to sound like it sounded when it came out. You know what I'm saying? Cannabis, for example, would have been he was a futuristic MC in 1997 when Cannabis was doing those freestyles, and even on his album, whether you like his albums or the way his songs were constructed or anything like that, the lyrics were futuristic. You know, he was using words and things at the time that people not even using now. There was a few people like that, you know, who just they rhyming was so ahead of his time, like Pharoah Monch and even a Roscos and a few other guys, man, the way they rhyme. You know, some people still trying to catch up to the way some of them rhyme right now. You know what I'm saying? And even, you know, modern, we was on Apartment 5B the other week talking about Detroit rappers and think about somebody like Elzhi. Technically, he's so advanced, like a futuristic rapper. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you're gonna have different MCs. You know what I'm saying? Might sound before their time. You might have certain MCs sound like the time they came out. So they might sound dated now when you think about Slick Rick. Slick Rick still can rap, but when he rap, it make you think about Great Adventures. You know what I'm saying? It still sounds old school. Kane. Well, Kane can flip it up, but he showed it on verses. He can sound modern and he can sound old, but it doesn't matter. You know, KRS-One songs banging in the verses, they sound old. They don't step into a world and the MC and all that. It doesn't sound like 2023. But I'll put up Return of the Boom Bap against a lot of albums that's out right now that people consider boom bap albums right now. Same way if you put Benny the Butcher and West Side Gun and all these guys that Griselda sound with Conway and them, you could put it up against the Locks or even Mobb Deep. And I'll take Mobb Deep music and as far as that New York sound over anything that came after them in that lane. I'll take Infamous and Hell on Earth over any album that came out in the last 20 years out of New York State. Not just the boroughs, but out of New York State. I don't think nobody has surpassed the beats, the production, the songs, or whatever of two 1990 albums. Well, 95 and 96 albums. So to me, as you can see, the whole aging thing doesn't matter to me. It's about how it sounds to me when I put that through the whip. It's about how the lyrics and song structure resonate. You know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. And like I said, I think that hip hop as a genre get a bad rap when it comes to that, but you don't hear that in rock. You don't hear that in soul music. Matter of fact, the best soul music is old soul music, like 70s, 70s soul. You know what I'm saying? Or R&B. People will say that 90s R&B still hasn't been passed yet in terms of what came after it. People were saying right now, none of these female singers, even some of the ones who are really good, people will tell you none of them have surpassed My Life by Mary J. Blige. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the singers now, people will say, only person making amazing music back to back albums, like same with like Maxwell and other people did in the late 90s, is like Raheem Devon. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people are making that kind of music. So people are saying certain R&B people from the 90s, nobody has passed them yet. People will tell you certain soft rock and stuff like that from the 80s, people ain't making songs better than some of them now. You know what I'm saying? When the last time someone made something like that Nirvana album from early 90s? Some people will say that Nevermind joint in that grunge or whatever. People will say most people that tried after that, they might have modernized the sound, but it don't sound better than what Kurt Cobain them did. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. I think other older people in other genres, I think their music get respected different and they get loved different. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to people in hip hop, as you get older, people will say, well, that sounds dated. They don't sound the same anymore. They don't sound, that's why this Nas run pretty impressive. But I heard people saying, well, man, he ain't rhyming like he rhymed in 96. Man, he's not 23, 24 years old anymore. He's 50. You know what I'm saying? So yes, even as great as KD3 is, it's not better than It Was Written. You know what I'm saying? Or Stillmatic. He's not rapping like that, but he's rapping his ass off. You know what I'm saying? But again, in hip hop, we're gonna say so the producers, these 90s producers everybody love, they beats ain't more modern now. They still sound like they sound. when Pete Rock, people love Pete Rock, and they wanted Nas to do a lot more Pete Rock joints, and I think they had some situations where they might not work together anymore. I don't know, but I did a poll recently, the other day, and QB Politics won. You know what I'm saying? And Pete Rock did that joint for Nas Lost Tapes 2. Not sure when the song's recorded, but people love that song. You know, and when Pete Rock did that album with Sky Zoo, it sounded like a 90s boom bap album. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it really did. I mean, it would sound great if you like that type of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So now Timberland just came out with some new joints and it sounds futuristic again. And that's all fine and dandy. You know what I'm saying? But again, I don't see why we have this division in hip hop that other genres don't have. You know what I'm saying? Age, it's like ageism in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Something sounds dated. I don't think it matters. I think it's irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys think, man. Just want to do a short episode because I had some thoughts, man, based on that post I was tagged in about It Was Written versus Ready to Die. And someone said something about Ready to Die sounding dated, man. So that's it, man. Have a good weekend, my people. All good. A dome out.